In this lesson, the impact of colonialism in India. Let us now discuss about the forests. The forests are the places which were the homes for the Adivasis and the farmers. The Adivasis are the people who used to live in the forest itself, and they used to look forest as their homeland, and they used to cultivate the crop by clearing some tracts of forest, and they used to do the farming also, which is also known as shifting cultivation or jumping cultivation. They used to do all the necessary things, whatever. They used to protect the forest from the external invasions. They used to consider forest as their mother, and they used to respect it a lot. They used to take care of all the animals, and they used to have a friend relation with each other, and they never used to disturb the ecological balance at all. So as a forest, whenever they need anything, they used to go to market and get the salt and iron whichever is required for them, but they never sold the wood which is available in the forest for any profit purpose. They used to use the wood which is required for them or to build their houses, and that too they used to cut the wood which is very old, and they used to allow the new trees to grow on. So as the time passed on, these farming and the Adivasis, farming between the farmers and the Adivasis led into the clash between them, because they were clearing the large pieces of land and the farmers are clearing the land, whereas Adivasis also used to practice cultivation called jumping cultivation or shifting cultivation, where they also used to clear a large piece of land and they used to do the agriculture. So in this process they were doing like this, and they were in conflict sometimes. They used to resolve their conflicts and they used to come for peaceful settlements, and whenever they get any valuable things in the forest like the ivory items and all these things, these they used to go and give to the king as a valuable gift. And kings never used to disturb any of the Adivasis or any of the people those who are in the forest, because until and unless they have any threat from them, they never used to interfere in them and left them free. Sometimes even the Adivasis used to pay taxes as per their income, whatever they are getting. So the process and the life of the forest was completely restricted only to the Adivasis, and it was not at all reachable to any other people. Whereas the entry of the Britishers has completely changed the outlook and the fame of forests. Arrival of the Britishers started to grow the cities of Bombay and Kolkata. So in order to have the connectivity of Bombay and Kolkata, they love to have it connectivity with the sea. But in order to have the connectivity of the internal regions, so they need to have the railway network which has to be expanded, connecting all the regions. So in this process, they decided to expand through the railway lines. So in the railway lines, from 1879, they have started to put 8,000 kilometers. It was been continuously the railway lines were kept. By 1910, it became more than 50,000 kilometers of the railway line. So why I am mentioning about the railway line is, so to make the railway lines, we need more than 1 crore of the wooden blocks which are needed to make the railway lines. So which were obviously cut from the forest, and the forests are cleared in large tracts to get the wood to make the sleeper coaches, and all these things made the Britishers to cut the forest continuously and enormously. Sometimes Britishers used to appoint some of them to cut the forest, or sometimes they used to give for the auction for the places, and the contractors used to cut the forests and they used to pay huge amount as profit for the Britishers. So like that, Britishers started to earn huge amount from the forest and put restrictions on the Adivasis, whereas earlier Adivasis were looking it as a representative of their mother goddess, and they used to take care of the forest. But now the Britishers started to cut all the forest mercilessly as per the need of their requirements. So as we have discussed that the Britishers started to cut down the trees as per the requirement of their railway expansion plans and the making of the coaches for the ships and everything. So this brought the forests to be in danger, especially the crop or the trees of timber which were cut down rapidly, which made the Britishers to think seriously what would be the next alternative if entire trees were cut down. So in order to rebuild the gap, they started to have new trees to be replaced. But here we have a logic. If we put the trees which are useful for the common people, like the mango, mahua or the neem, which are not at all useful for them, so they decided they should have the replacement of the trees only and only with the timber plantations, so that they do not have any problem in getting the timber for them and for their expansion plans of railways, ships or the navy needs. So these all made the government to plan for the rebuilding of these things, and they also established the forest department in 1864 to find out and to check the cutting down of the forest. So now the world forest also could not be cut down rapidly. They also need certain kind of regular check and could not be cut very easily. And at the same time, the Adivasis started to face many problems because of the forest departments. Because the Adivasis like Bariga, Murika, Gond and Bill who live in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, and then we have the Koya, Reddy and Kolam are the tribal groups who live in Andhra Pradesh, and we also have Sovara who lives in the Orissa state or Odisha state right now. So we have different tribal people living here, but the forest officials started to utilize their power in a larger scale and to create terror and fear for the Adivasis. The Adivasis already are facing many troubles because of the British rule, but as per the evidences and the reports what we got, the forest officers used to torture the British, the Adivasis, and they used to enter into the houses of the people and ill-treating with the women and torturing them and bringing out all the valuable things, taking away them, forcing them to do the free labor work, and all these things made the Adivasis to revolt against them. So let us find out how did the Adivasis fight. What was the result of the fight between the Adivasis and the Britishers? As we have discussed, the Adivasis are facing problems. They started to revolt against them. Let us see few of the revolts. First of all, let us discuss about the Santal revolt. The Santal is a region which is in Jharkhand, where all the people started to revolt against them, and it happened in the year 1855 to 56, where they tried to revolt against the British rule, and they were completely holding that they were going to destroy the money lenders, they were going to attack the zamindars, and they were going to torture them, and they were against the government which is supporting them. But they only knowledge have bow and arrows, but the British government which is having the gun knowledge has used their entire strength to crush them, and finally the revolt was suppressed. When we move on to the Bisra Munda revolution of revolt, which was happened in the Chota Nagpur plateau, which is now present in the Jharkhand state, which happened in 1874 to 1901, where the people under the guidance of the young man Mundra have motivated themselves and came together to fight against the existing government, and the Zamindars, he believed that Bhagavan, God and all the people are ready to listen his words, and we are going to fight against the Zamindars and the money lenders who are torturing the Adivasis, and they started to decide that they are going to fight against them. They led a very massive agitation, but these were curbed by the British forces, and they arrested Mundra, and Mundra was died in the year of 1900 in the prison. So but the force was impacted on them. The British government has to change certain laws of the requirements of the Adivasis. Rights are to be protected on the forests. Then when we move on to the Kaumun revolt of Uttarakhand, where the Kaumun revolt of Uttarakhand, people started to agitate against them and fight for their freedom, but the Adivasis were not at all